Welcome to the Made for Money podcast, where feminine wisdom meets financial power. I'm your host, Christine Walsh, financial strategist for women entrepreneurs, fractional CFO, speaker, and author of the best-selling book, Be the Queen of Your Money, and guide for women who are rewriting their money stories and unapologetically rising into their wealth. Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to Made for Money, and I'm so glad you're here. This has been really a great joy of mine to be creating this podcast and sharing it out into the world, and all of the thought processing and idea processing I've had around this for years coming into being. So it's really cool. I'm just so glad you're here. And this week on Made for Money, I'm recording this the week of the 22nd of December. So we are approaching a year end. We just had a solstice and we are approaching a year beginning as well. And it's really funny to think about that January 1st date is such a hard and fast date for us to be making decisions on how we want to look at the remainder of the year. So I wanted to give a little bit of context to this time of the year and how we might want to look at investing in ourselves this year and for future years to come. So let's get into it. Reflection time around this time is an interesting thing. I do a lot of reflection around August, interestingly, to just discuss, different times to do a reflection. I don't know if it's because of school starting, even though I don't have kids, or, it just seems like that September can feel like a new part of the year. But of course, we're coming on the calendar, new part of the year. And so it's very top of mind, particularly for my conscious entrepreneurs, because we're probably in spaces where we're talking about reviewing the past year, what worked, what didn't work, energetically as well as practically. And then we're looking at, what do we want to put in place for 2026 as we work with numbers. Those calendar years of January through December are important on a linear point of view, but here at Made for Money and in my work and the approach that I take, money is a very cyclical thing. So there can be ebbs and flows, and the calendar year isn't always the hard and fast line in the sand. So I want to invite that intentionality in first as we start to look at reflecting on the past 12 months and maybe what you're wanting the next 12 months to look like. And like I said, I've done this quarterly. I've done this in August and September. So really doesn't matter when the sense of the time of year, as long as it happens and you're in this space of reflection. So as an entrepreneur, as a woman founder, it is critical. And I think it's almost calming to our nervous system, our well-being, that we are taking inventory of where we've been and where we are going. And we look at that from a perspective of a gratitude. I think more so that than from a place of judgment. And you're going to actually create more abundance and more robustness in planning when we're looking from a place of gratitude versus a place of judging that I didn't get this done, or, I don't want to set a goal next year, etc. So the assessment starts with intentionality. The assessment starts with us, where we've been, what's worked in the past, what didn't work in the past, and where we want to go, and really pulling that in to growing a growing business. So this starts with you. You're the head honcho here. So you get to decide where to put resources. And the concept of this, and this is going to be a short podcast today, but the concept of this is like, there are so many things to invest in our businesses. We know that: marketing, sales support, administrative support. Gosh, I think of all the apps and softwares and all of that. Also, development, professional development, direction, strategy. There's so much. And what I want to invite you into, because the reflection of your business is a reflection of you, is that you are ensuring that you are putting investment into yourself. And the idea around here is that the most important thing to put an investment in is into you, is around you being your greatest asset. Just have that land for a second that everything's a great investment, right? There are plenty of investments that we can choose, branding, websites, marketing, like all that good stuff, and hiring team, of course. And that's all good stuff. And you are your own greatest asset. So, how do you choose where to put your money when it comes to investing in you? Well, here are three considerations I want to offer up during this week. And as you reflect this week and into next week, into the new year, and probably take some part of the new year into January to continue the reflection. I mean, we could think about, I've often heard this, the Chinese New Year as perhaps more in light with what we can start to really act on these things and use this time between solstice and then to be in the curiosity of what are my goals for 2026. All right, so number one, what's the big picture? If you are on this podcast, you and listening, that probably means you're a pretty self-aware entrepreneur and founder, and I totally respect that. And just think of you all out there being in this place of curiosity around your own self-awareness, and that you will need to take the day-to-day hat off and see what the overall picture is. So this is one of those times. What support do you need to keep the big picture for you big and moving along? What support, accountability, inspiration? What do you need in 2026? And a good way to look at that is from contrast. What was missing in the past 12 months that would make a difference in these areas around our support, our inspiration, our continuing education, our accountability? What was not happening in 2025 that would make all the difference in 2026? So that's the big thing. We start with the big picture. A lot of my visionary founders and entrepreneurs are big picture thinkers. So this is a place where you can start to fine tune and think about what are the nuts and bolts of the big picture that I need support with. And that supports me in service of me so that I can do the bigger things that I want to do. And then from there, number two is aligning that investment in yourself with yourself. So this is something I bring often, I share often with my clients, is this idea around your top values in your business and then probably in your life, and perhaps they overlap. But what are your top values? Are they similar when it comes to you and your business? You might want to reflect on that. There's plenty of resources online for identifying your top values, but this is how you operate through life. You may never have even named your values. Another way to look at them as principles that you live by. But this is an opportunity here at this time and space to go online, grab a list of values, identify ones that are for you, identify ones that represent your business and what you want to put out in the world. See the similarities, most likely you will see them. And then once you have a short list of those values, see how you might be able to link them to the answer that you came up with in number one around what's the big picture, like where do I want to put my resources? And then assign values to those resources and see the connection that's really going to start to anchor it into your body and into your mindset about how you're going to show up in 2026. And then number three is about communication. So more than ever, communication is really, really important. It's a talent. There's no doubt about it. And it's the number one way for us to be building, cultivating relationships, increasing our opportunities, and it improves our personal confidence. And I think we want more of that, not only just professionally, but personally. And so whether you are thinking about like where to put your resources, I would consider a place of just how you're communicating those out to the world. What resources are you putting towards communication, whether that's speaking in your business, whether that's through a podcast? How can you improve your communication skills? Because places that we are in visibility of are very noisy. The world is noisy. And the more that we can be impactful about our speaking and the meaningfulness around what we're sharing will create reciprocity back into our business. And that can be seen from, again, a qualitative approach, just how the business feels and seeing that resonance out in the marketplace, but also top line revenue, profitability. So really taking that into consideration, because I think when in doubt, improving your communication. And so many of these things, particularly communication, could be something that you're researching online. How do you want to share your communication? Perhaps your values, the values that came up with in point 2 of my podcast here, could help inform your communication style. So as you think about it, as your business grows, as it expands, or is downsizing and simplifying to amplify, or realigning whatever is coming down the pike, particularly as we enter into 2026, the year of the horse, no matter what, you always have you. You always have you to choose. You always have you to show up when you need to. No one can take that from you. And I think that that's such the big point I want to make today, is that no one can take all of the asset that you're building within yourself away from you, regardless of the economy, regardless of who's in control of the presidency or whatever. So really taking a moment to identify, as you go through your goals for 2026, that you are nurturing that and watching that move and ripple throughout all of your life, including your business. And that investing in you is one of the most rewarding returns on your capital, because it sustains the foundation for the whole of your life. And so when that foundation is strong, you really can build anything, you can rebuild anything, and you can show up in your whole entirety. And I think that that is very profitable. So for now, have an amazing break of time. I think most people are on a holiday break coming up, and find space, stillness for you to inquire about what is most important for you in investing yourself in 2026. Okay, bye for now.